the top 3 stories of the day. It's a Daily 3. It's what we call it. It's how we start the show, guys. Number 1, the Mets offense. You know, they've been getting it done lately, Joe. I mean, they've really been covering for that bullpen. Is this enough? Will this continue throughout the year so the bullpen worries will be, lightened up a little?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I mean, early in the year, a game like last night, you could have just said that game was over because they scored 2 early runs. They fell behind. They made this JoJo Reyes look like Sandy Koufax. And like I said, earlier in the season, they would have lost that game 3-2, 5-2. The bullpen would have gave up runs. Last night, you saw the difference in his team. Coming back 5 runs in the 8th inning, Delgado with the big 2 RBI double. Yeah, I think the offense is pretty good. I mean, they're second in the league right now in runs scored. You got 3 guys now in the top 10 in RBIs on the team. I think they got enough offense. I still don't know if they got enough bullpen.
Aren't they beating the teams that we all thought that they would beat? They're better than these teams. When you look at the last couple of series they've had, the Nationals, the Pirates, now the Braves, they're better than them. They should be winning these games.
That's what they didn't do in the first half, John. It's what they're doing now.
But that's where the offense is, I think, is camouflaging a little bit because they should beat up on these teams than they are, but they're going to play close games. They're going to get into these games with the Phillies and some other teams, and it's going to come back to the bullpen, you know.
But are you thinking they're overachieving the offense? Because I look at it and I say they're playing the way they should be playing. They're playing the way I would expect them to be playing.
They should, but they're going to see better pitching down the stretch. You know, I think the best sign is Delgado because you're starting to think, uh-oh, he's back in that funk he was in, and all of a sudden he comes up with a big hit. So if he hits for them, I think they're fine offensively. But, you know, they're going to play close games. They're going to have to get through this bullpen problem somehow.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do tonight against Jurgens because he's given them trouble this year. He's had a good year. He's 11-8. He's been Atlanta's best pitcher, and he's beat the Mets a couple times already this year.
Incidentally, Joe wasn't here when we introduced Merlot the Pain a couple of months ago, so I thought I'd break it out on the set. Show everybody the Merlot the Pain. Show them the label, Joe.
There you go.
There you go. That's TV. That's TV. That's how you do it.
Where is it? Over here? Here we go.
Which
there it is.
We
got 14 cameras here.
Here we go. That's the one.
That is one ugly dude, by the way.
You're going to take that home. You're not even a wine drinker. You're not even.
What's that? You look better in person.
I hope so.
All right, number 2 on the list, Luis Ayala. He looked better in person than his numbers would indicate when the Mets picked him up last night, making his debut and getting the standing ovation, Joe.
He got a standing ovation as soon as he threw up and into Infante on his first pitch. I mean, you know, one thing about Ayala, here's my feeling on him. This is a guy, I know he's had a terrible year, 1-8, very high ERA. This is a guy that's played on nothing but losing teams his whole career. Now he's on a team where he has a chance to, you know, maybe get to the postseason. I think you're going to get a little juice from this guy.
What do you think? Short-term thing?
You see this all the time with relievers. You know, you catch lightning in a bottle with these type of guys. You know, so he's had some good years in the past. So he met a guy who just fell into that rut. This team, they're not winning. We're not going anywhere. Hey, maybe he is energized. He did have a pretty good life on his fastball last night.
And the Mets need it because they made the move before the Wagner news was made public. Clearly, they need to do something with the bullpen because Wagner, you don't know if you're ever going to see him again this year.
Right.
Well, you don't, but this could be that short-term solution, John, that you're looking for. If you can just get a couple of weeks lightning in a bottle with Ayala here, even if he goes back to his old ways, at least you got him for this 2-week stretch, maybe 3 weeks that Wagner is out. And again, we don't know. It might be 3 weeks. It might be for the rest of the year.
But it still doesn't solve the 9th inning because I don't think they're going to put him in the 9th inning unless he just lights out at some point.
Can they solve the 9th inning? I don't know if they can.
I really think. I mean, at this point, you got to rely on Heilman because who else are you going to go to?
Schoenweiss.
Sanchez is throwing. Well, Schoenweiss, if they're lucky, they scored those runs in the bottom of the 8th.
But you know what? Jerry even said this, and he doesn't want to, you know, define a role for anybody or anoint somebody to closer in case the guy doesn't get it done. I'd almost rather see what he's been doing. You know, mix and match. Maybe it's Feliciano one day. Maybe it's Schoenweiss. Maybe it's Heilman. You know, I'd rather go that route right now than to say one guy is my closer.
The only thing is, I think it might be good for Heilman's head if you told him. He's kind of a quiet, sensitive guy. If you told him, you're our guy, you know, we're counting on you in the 9th inning, maybe that would do something for him, make him feel like a closer. I don't think he goes out there feeling like a closer. I think that's part of the problem.
I think Mets fans, and Joe, you can respond to this, but I think that they have less confidence in Heilman than anybody else in that bullpen. As much as Sanchez has been struggling lately, even, you know, Feliciano was great at the beginning of the year, so was Schoenweiss. They've had their bumps in the road, but I think Heilman, they have less confidence in him than anybody else on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, with good reason. I mean, what has he given up, like 9 home runs this year? I mean, it's been absolutely horrible. I mean, he'll be terrific one day and then be terrible for the next 2 days.
And it speaks to what John was saying. You know, the fans don't seem to have confidence in him, but Heilman doesn't seem to have confidence in himself when he takes them out sometimes.
He gives you such bad bottom line. That's why I was afraid. Eddie Coons, you and me both, but it didn't work
Well,
out.
they didn't give Coons
They
a
didn't
fair
give much of a
shot.
chance.
Jerry had no confidence in
Also
putting
had
him
an
in a big
ERA of
spot.
13.5 when he went down. All right, don't forget, much more on the Mets situation with the bullpen and on Delgado. Visit SNY.TV. Harold Reynolds gives his thoughts on what's going on with this Mets team. All right, number 3 on the list, A-Rod. Again, this is the same old story, guys. We've heard it a million times. Watch this play right here. In the top half of the 9th inning, trailing 2-1 in Toronto, A-Rod tries to stretch it into a double, and he gets gunned. He was, of course, criticized today for making a stupid play. You need base runners. Well, the way this team is hitting, and he even said so much, you need guys in scoring position. Frank, I mean, I for one, don't fault him with this, and I think if this had been Jeter, he'd have been applauded for hustling.
To some degree, I agree with you. I think he also stumbled a little bit coming around first base. I think it's a play you have to make. Put a little pressure on the defense to make a play. Overbay made a very good play in the outfield.
You can't get thrown out there in the first out of the 9th inning.
But don't you? But he's being aggressive. He's being aggressive.
Okay, but if you see him go around first base, at some point he looks and sees as he's stumbling that Overbay has. At that point, you can still pull up and go back. It's not a good play. You got to make it there. If it's Jeter would have got criticized for the same play.
Do you really think so?
Yeah.
Because we've seen it so many times.
It's baseball 101. It is baseball 101. Down a run, you can't be thrown out of second base.
But the way this team is hitting the ball, I mean, to get a guy in scoring position, you only see, like you just saw, you only scored 1 run there. You can't get any big hits. You got to get him in scoring position. So at worst, you move him to third, and you have a chance with a fly ball to tie the game.
Yeah, but Girardi wouldn't have bunted anyway. So what's the difference?
You know, this is the second time we've seen A-Rod do this in a short period of time. Right. Wasn't it in Anaheim where he tried to steal third base and he got thrown out in that game?
Action, yeah.
Which, you know what, I can't blame him for that because they're just not scoring runs. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, I'd rather see him get a hit with runners in second and third once in a while. Yeah.
All right, but this happened to be a situation where
you got to get guys on second and third to get that hit
there.
I agree. You know, this may be a situation that Damon has not played well, and apparently I've heard there's a little bit of rift between him and Girardi now because when Girardi didn't play in that first night in Minnesota, Damon wasn't happy about it. He told reporters he didn't know anything about it, and Girardi wasn't happy. Apparently there's something going on there. Damon hasn't played well since.
Terrible play in the field last night in the 8th inning.
Absolutely. But one thing about A-Rod, too, I think this tells you about last year. You think about how much he carried this team. The fact that he's not hitting this year and the team is stumbling. They're not going to make the playoffs.
All right, up next